Welcome back to Fokker Figures, where today I'm going to be doing another WWF Hasbro figure unboxing, and even though it's taken me months to get this one together, this one is going to be looking at the tag teams.
By a manager, isn't it? Absolutely. Oh, we got a Bulldog and a Conquistador in the ring. Oh, Conquistador lost that.
So this is a video that I've been really looking forward to because it is as close as I've come to completing one sort of chapter, one segment, one section of the Hasbro line with the tag team guys. So it's interesting. It's an interesting area of the Hasbro figure line because it's open to your own opinion. I mean, there's lots of different people who consider different figures part of the tag team line. For example, there's the tag team sets, the Nasty Boys, the Rockers, the Bushwhackers, the LOD, the Demolition. It all came as tag team sets. But there are some other tag teams in the line that came out in single release form. So, for example, over the far end here, we've got the Steiner brothers who came out in the Purple Card series. They were single figure releases, and even in the first series, there was Axe and Smash from Demolition, and there was these guys, the Twin Towers, Akeem and a Big Boss Man. Now, some people don't consider Akeem and the Big Boss Man a tag team release. They just think they're singles guys. But I mean, they were, I suppose, they were sort of comparable to like the New Age Outlaws of the time. They had as many singles matches as they had tag team matches. So, you could consider them singles guys, you can consider them tag team guys. I definitely consider them a tag team. I definitely consider them the Twin Towers. So, to my mind anyway, there are certain rules for considering a tag team in the Hasbro line, and that is that obviously they were a tag team for a prolonged period because there were a lot of combinations that you could throw up. You could say, "Oh, remember that one time that such and such a wrestler tagged with another wrestler," but that doesn't mean I'm a tag team. I mean, Hulk Hogan, he had tag team matches with Big Boss Man, he had tag team matches with Randy Savage, he had tag team matches with Ultimate Warrior, but he's never considered a tag team wrestler. He's never considered a tag team Hasbro with any of those guys. So they have to have been a sort of prolonged period, been a tag team, and they have to be released. This is the other rule that I kind of stick to. They have to have been released in the same series, the same figure series, because I think that makes them a specific tag team. Like Series 1 with Big Boss Man and Akeem, like Series, what's the purple card? Are they Series 8? No, the Series 9, sorry, the purple card. Series 9s with the Steiners, Rick and Scott over there. They both came out in the same series, even though they were single releases. So with that being my two rules, with my rule being they have to have been a prolonged tag team or a tag team for a prolonged period, and they have to have been released in the same series, that actually eliminates another possible tag team combination, which is these guys. So we've got Owen Hart here. I've been really lazy and not even taking them out of their Ziplocs. Owen Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who they were the new foundation when they tagged in WWF, and their ring attire suggests that they are actually part of the new foundation tag team. However, Jim Neidhart came out in, I believe, Series 6 and 5 or 6, maybe 5. And Owen Hart came out in the yellow cards. He came out in Series 7. So for me, that's just too much of a gap. That's not a tag team. They're not. If they're coming out that far apart, then that's not a release that the manufacturers intended them to be a tag team in the same way that the Steiners were intended as a tag team, or Demolition in Series 1 would probably be a better example than the Twin Towers, because the Twin Towers is open to debate. But Demolition came out, Axe and Smash in Series 1 as single figures, but they're meant to be a tag team. So I don't consider Owen and Jim as part of the tag team line in the Hasbro series because they were just released too far apart, in my opinion anyway, to be a set. But as I say, I'm getting close to finishing this, so there's a little bit of sort of ambiguity, I suppose, a little bit open to interpretation. Obviously, the Bushwhackers have had 2 releases, so there are a colour variant of the Bushwhackers. These are the tag team set that I've got here, but there are the sort of sand coloured camo, the sort of browny, grey brown coloured camo release that came out in the blue cards in Series 10, and they come with hat accessories as well. So I suppose, yeah, you probably do need them to get close to it. But I've got the Bushwhackers, you know, so I'm not considering that and I need the other set urgently. To be a completist, I probably want them, but I don't feel like I need them urgently. So yeah, there's the Bushwhackers, and then there's obviously the Smoking Guns and the green card set. That's a difficult one to get your hand on. Regular viewers of the channel know I do have Bart Gunn on card. He's not coming off card though. I'm not opening him up. He's in a really nice card. I don't have a Billy, and even if I had Billy and Bart on banged up cards, I don't know that I'd open them. I don't know that I would open them. So we'll have to wait and see about that. And the other thing is the Demolition. There's obviously 3 members of the Demolition. Demolition came out in singles form. So you had Axe and Smash in singles releases in Series 1, but then they came out as a tag team set as well, alongside, I believe, the Series 2 figures. So it was Demolition, the Rockers and the Bushwhackers that all came out alongside Series 2. And that's not actually Smash though, that's Smash and Crush. And we might come on to that later on in the video. But anyway, yeah, so there is a little bit of sort of grey areas in the tag team, putting the tag team sets together and sort of defining what the tag team sets are. But really interesting subject area within the Hasbro line, and something that I've seen lots of debates about what is a tag team, who are officially a tag team, and how many tag teams you need to have a complete set of WWF Hasbro tag team lineup. So anyway, one thing that is for sure, as you can see, there's one guy in the lineup I've got on the table just now that is currently not part of a tag team because he doesn't have his partner, and that's this man here. That's Samu from the Headshrinkers. Now, problem with that was Samu and Fatu, the Headshrinkers, they were always the cheapest figures to get. You could always pick them up here, there, and everywhere. You know, they were so accessible. You could get them all the time. And then just part of the sort of the whole lockdown spike in prices, Fatu, for some reason, Fatu just shot up. Now, I know that he, out of the two, is a more successful wrestler. He's gone on to do much better things than Samu ever did. He became, Fatu went on to become Rikishi. He was a fairly big player in the Attitude Era of the WWE. He was like a main eventer, essentially. So Fatu went on to do much better things than Samu. But that's been the case for like 20 years now. And Fatu figures have always been accessible. You've always been able to get Fatu figures. But because of the Corona hike, he just seemed to be one that shot up, so I couldn't get a Fatu. At the time I bought Samu, I just thought, well, I picked him up for 30 quid or something. I thought I'll get a Fatu as well, and then make a video unboxing them both, but I just could not get one. And eventually, patience, persistence, eventually I managed to get a reasonable deal on this guy here. As you can see, a bit of a banged up card. He's got scrapes and scratches all over the place. Bubble's actually okay. Bubble's decent. Oh no, there's a crush bit at the top. But I wasn't bothered because I just wanted the Fatu. I didn't want one that was mint that I could grade or that I could sell for 50% profit or anything. I just wanted a Fatu to take off card. And this is him. So the first unboxing of this tag team video is coming up. Oh, it's come off quite clean here as well. So here he is. Nice stiff joints for Fatu. Get that card out of the way. Now, I believe there are a couple of differences. It's a different body mold. You can tell that straight away. In Fatu, I think this is actually the Coco Beware body mold, whereas Samu's a bit more athletic looking. I mean, I don't know who that would have been used for. It's certainly not Snooker, because Snooker is shredded. Maybe Brutus. It's maybe Beefcake. I don't know. But yeah, so they are different figures, but the slight variants are the wording on the tights. So they've got Samoa on one side and their name on the other, and they have it on opposite sides. So Samu and Fatu, and you turn them over, they've both got Samoa on their outer leg, and then the tape, obviously on the ankles, they have the tape on other sides. But they're both jumpers. I mean, obviously different body sculpts, different parts, but both jumpers, I don't know. Fair enough having one jumper in a tag team, but why do they both have to be jumpers? I don't know. Disappointed with that. But cool tag team. Underrated tag team, I think, because they're very, very similar to how the actual wrestlers look. I mean, that looks like Samu and Fad. That does look like Rikishi. It does look like him. I think that's a good a good likeness. But yeah, not guys I would go out my way to get. If I was just collecting a few figures, a few of my favourites, these aren't guys I would go out my way to get. But not, I mean, they're not jobbers. I don't, in terms of figure collecting, I don't think they're throwaway figures. I think they're decent. I mean, it's a decent sculpt, decent likeness, and for jumpers, I said this about snooker when I unboxed snooker. I don't like the jump move, but snooker suits the jump move. That was always part of his gimmick, his shtick. And these guys are these sort of, I mean, they're not as high flying as snooker was, but they are that kind of Polynesian, Samoan heritage. They like to do the flying headbutts and stuff. So fair enough. I'd take it. I'm happy enough with them. But obviously, you need to have them if you're going to get every figure ticked off the list. You definitely need to have them. So here is, as we move on from the Headshrinkers, here's another tag team that were released in single form, but in the same series. These guys both came out in Series 3, but there's a lot of question marks over whether or not they were intended as a tag team, because they're not wearing the correct tag team attire. So first up, I'll show you this guy. This is Typhoon of the Natural Disasters. As you can see, picked him up on an Italian card, pretty banged up Italian card, not in the best of shapes. But he is Typhoon of the Natural Disasters, unmistakably. That is Natural Disasters attire. That is what the Natural Disasters wrestled in, and that's Typhoon. So he is absolutely one half of the Natural Disasters. However, his tag team partner, Earthquake, he came out in the same series, and he is in his singles attire. So the Natural Disasters had matching singlets, matching wrestling tights, where they were both in the red, black and white colour scheme, and Earthquake had Earthquake on his his singlet, and Typhoon had Typhoon. Now Earthquake does have the same sort of graphic, the same sort of image with the Shockwave and Earthquake, but the blue attire was 100% his singles run. Absolutely no mistake, and he never wrestled as part of the Natural Disasters in blue. So that presents an issue for me. I mean, obviously it's Earthquake and Typhoon. It's not like they're the same wrestlers but under a different gimmick. These are the Natural Disasters, but for some reason Earthquake is in his singles gear, and then that presents the question: well, are they intended as a tag team? But as I say, they were together as a tag team in a prolonged run, and they came out in the same series. They're both Series 3 releases. So in my mind, yeah, that's fine. That meets my criteria. These guys are a tag team. So I'll open them up, but there's a bit more to this story with these guys, because Earthquake, I don't know this for a fact, but I think that Earthquake, who's coming off card first, here he is. Oh, he's got a little bit of sort of sticky bit of paint or something, or plastic. The mold's up there. Oh, it's really stiff as well. It's a really good sign when the joints are really hard to move. It means that it's probably not been a reseal. It means that someone's not stuck it back on the card, which is always a relief. But Earthquake, so yeah, I think Earthquake was intended as a singles release from the get-go. I think he was going to be a singles release, but there is, anyone that knows about WWF Hasbro's, collects WWF Hasbro's, will know that this guy was actually slated to be released in his other gimmick. He was going to be Tugboat. So this is Fred Ottman, who is most famous as Typhoon, I think, but he was also Tugboat. He was also very infamously the Shockmaster, the guy who fell through a wall and with a spray-painted Stormtrooper helmet on and fell over. But yeah, he was going to be Tugboat. And there was actually, I think there was a 2-up produced of Tugboat, which is like the large-scale Hasbro figures that they use to do the paint deco before manufacturing the smaller scale that are actually released. So I think there was a 2-up of Tugboat. I don't know if there was ever a prototype of Tugboat, I'm not sure. But Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder from WWE, or Matt Cardona from TNA now, I think, or Impact, whatever it's called, the wrestling company that he's a part of now. He's obviously massive on wrestling figure collecting. He does the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. He has the 2-up, I'm sure, of the original 2-up from Hasbro of Tugboat, which is, it's not even this figure mold. He's in a different body type. He's got the kind of red and white sailor costume on. He's wearing a hat as well, I think. But I think this was kind of last minute switch. So that kind of explains to me maybe the tugboat gimmick had gone. That ship had sailed, if you excuse the pun. But I think what had happened was Earthquake was already in the line. He was already in the line as Earthquake, and then because Tugboat's gimmick was changing, he was becoming Typhoon. I think they very, very quickly decided, right, we better make him Typhoon and not Tugboat. But at that point, Typhoon had the natural disasters gear on. Oh, he's got a bit of a paint smudge under his arm. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, it's like a little kind of nick on the so natural disasters Typhoon was the only Typhoon there was. So he came out in this get-up, whereas Earthquake had already been approved and produced to come out in his singles gear, so they didn't match up. And it would have been probably far too expensive to go back, recall all the Earthquakes, and make a natural disasters Earthquake. And if they had, can you imagine how valuable this guy would be then? Because if a few of them got out and then they recalled it and decided to re-release in the natural disasters gear, then that would be so valuable. You know, that would be like a Dusty Rhodes type figure, an Earthquake and singles gear. But they obviously didn't do that because it would have been far too expensive, I think. That's my explanation for it. That's what I think happened with the fact that they don't match up in their costume. That I don't know for sure if that's a story, but that's what I think is probably the most logical explanation. But that said, I mean, so we've got two natural disasters figures, Earthquake and Typhoon, and these are decent figures. These are pretty cool figures. Both, like the Headshrinkers, both got the same move, but again, like the Headshrinkers, it's an appropriate move. You know, it's the big guy move. It's the sort of the big guy shape where they can sit down and jump on their opponents. And they were both pretty heavy guys. You know, the only Hasbro figure that's kind of exceeded this mold, because this is the Bam Bam Bigelow mold. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that has it. Anyway, there's a few figures that are the kind of bigger guys of the era that have this model, this shape, this mold. Sorry, the only person that exceeded that was Yokozuna, and again that was appropriate because Yokozuna was so much bigger than these guys. You know, he was huge compared to Earthquake and Typhoon and Bam Bam. But yeah, this is the perfect mold for these guys in their body shape, and I think they're the only ones that actually have posable legs as well. I think they're the only Hasbros that you can make sit down like that. I'd have to, I think so. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head anyone else that does that. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty unique. And I suppose if you can't have them in the same attire, if you can't have them in tag team attire, it's good to have them looking like a tag team. You know, looking like they are both part of the same set like that with the same move. Because yeah, do you know, when you think about how big these guys were, what other move would you have given them? I mean, maybe the Andre headbutt would have worked for one of them, but I mean, you couldn't have given them a clothesline move or anything because that body type's just far too slim for one of the natural disasters. It would probably have had to be these. But yeah, really happy with these guys, other than the fact that Typhoon has a tiny little red dot under his arm. It doesn't look like it's coming off. Oh, he's got another one on his leg as well. Oh, that one is coming off though. It's just like a wee nick or something. I might have to get the baby wipes to these guys and just to sort of polish them up. Other than that, though, that little red bit under his arm, that's pretty cool. I like these guys. One thing that I saw, again, on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, it wasn't Mark Cardona though, it was Brian Myers, who was pointing this out when he was unboxing the Natural Disasters, is that for some reason, Earthquake's singlet is blue in its entirety. So every part of his body sculpt, his torso, is blue to match his singlet. But with Typhoon, the inner thigh of the singlet is skin tone. So I don't know if it's just like it's maybe a different cut of the singlet, a different cut of the wrestling onesie. So he's got a bit more of a thong thing going on, whereas he's a bit more of a brief cut over here on Earthquake. But that's an interesting thing. I wonder why that happened, why the skin tone is different on the inside. Anyway, so here we go. Adding the Natural Disasters to the tag team setup, to the Hasbro collection. Happy to have them. They're essential, I think. To have a Hasbro collection, you need to have the disasters. You need to have the Natural Disasters, but not my favourite figures. Not like the guys that I've hold a special place. I had them both growing up. I had both the Natural Disasters. In fact, funny story, Typhoon, my mum and dad, when I was, I don't know, 8 or 9 or something like that, my mum and dad went away on holiday for a week, and they left me and my two sisters £5 each. So in which, you know, in the 90s, that would get you, that would buy you sweets for a week, you know, a fiver. They left us five. We were living with my gran, and they left us £5 each to do the week, like a pocket money for the week. And before we got home from dropping them at the airport, I was in Millwall and bought myself a Typhoon for £4.99. So I got myself Typhoon for £4.99 with my £5 pocket money. Because I don't know why, because he wasn't a guy I was desperate to have. I think he must have been the one that I didn't have when I went in, and I was like, I'm getting him then. But I remember that clearly, spending my pocket money on Typhoon, like before like the first hour was up of having that pocket money. It was meant to last a week. I bought myself a Typhoon, but yeah, so good memories. But as I say, they're not my favourites. They're not guys that I would be desperate to get back in my collection or anything. They're not guys that I've got real strong attachment to, but good figures nonetheless. So anyway, now we get to the sort of main event section of the video, because I'm going to be unboxing one of the tag team sets, and it's the only tag team set that I don't have up on the table. So I've got the Nasties, I've got the Rockers, I've got the Bushwhackers, I've got the LOD, and the only other one is the Demolition. Now, this is a fairly valuable set, as in terms of mint on card, these guys go for big money, but this is pretty banged up. It's got some scuffs and scrapes on the card. The bubble is yellow, and it has a couple of dents and splits. And the reason I got such a good deal on this, because for being a mint on card set, this would usually go well into three figures, if not more than, maybe go for 200 or 300, but it's well over 100 anyway. But I got it for less than £100, let's just say that at least, because it had been partially resealed. And I specifically, up here, this has been stuck back down, and I specifically asked the seller, I was like, have these been taken out of the packet and put in? He said, no, absolutely not. It's just that I stuck the bubble back down up here. So I thought, right, okay, well that's fine. That meets the criteria for what I want them for unboxing. But yeah, so I actually thought it'd be really tough to get these guys. I didn't think I'd get a Demolition on card because they are so valuable, because they're so rare. I thought it'd be too expensive to justify opening them and sort of buying them and opening them up. But that's ideal. That's perfect. You know, somebody who has resealed, a partial reseal, stuck in the bubble slightly. Most people aren't going to be interested in that. Most people are not going to want that set because it doesn't have any real monetary value, because it has a partial reseal. But for what I want it for, spot on. I want to take figures off card. I want to have them mint loose. This is perfect. So here comes Smash and Crush, which I should probably say that they are different figures. Oh, my Smash is smashed off the floor. Yeah, different figures from, yeah, no doubt. I mean, even just opening them up there, there's absolutely no doubt they're not resealed. They are really, really stiff joints, really, really bright and fresh looking. That is a better Smash than the Smash I've got. I got a single Smash on an Italian card, and I'm not entirely happy with him because there's a tiny bit of sun fade on his legs. That is a mint Smash. That is absolutely perfect, that Smash. So happy to have him. So anyway, yeah, Smash's tag team partner in the tag team set isn't Axe, it's Crush. So this is, oh man, that is a cool figure as well. This is quite a rare figure for that reason. In fact, so is Axe. But because Smash came out in a singles guy, and he also came out in a tag team, he is probably the most common. In fact, he's the most common of the Demolition figures. You can get Smash far easier than you can get either Axe or Crush, because he's out there in a singles form, he's out there in a tag team form. There's just more of him out there, so he's not very difficult to get your hands on. But Crush, on the other hand, he is difficult to get your hands on, because I think the price of Axe is going up. You know, Axe is becoming an expensive figure to get, but if you think about it logically, the tag team sets were more expensive, so less people, when they were opening them up to play with them when they were kids, would have got the tag team sets. Parents would have been more inclined to buy the single figures because they were cheaper. So there would probably be less Axes survived on card than Crushes, than tag team sets, if that makes sense. So there would have been more tag team sets that kind of went unsold, went into storage, and then because the Demolition set has always been a more expensive one of the whole Hasbro line, the Demolition Tag Team set has always been more expensive. When the time came that these were collectibles and collectors were keeping them, very few crushes would have came off the card. Very few tag team crushes would have came off the card. But Axe and Smash and singles releases, they've only really shot up in the last sort of, say, 5 to 10 years. You know, I mean, if you go back 15 years from now, you could get an Axe and a Smash for £30 or £40 each. And if you were just somebody that liked WWF Hasbro figures, you might well have taken them off the card. So I think Crush is just the more rare of the three Demolition, close between Crush and Axe, but definitely Smash is the most common one. He's the one you can get. But that said, Smash he's a good Hasbro to have, man. Having a Smash, a good condition Smash is no mean feat. And obviously, yeah, these Demolition tag team guys, they come with the helmets, the sort of executioner helmets. I think that's what they're meant to be, like hoods, if you like. I don't know if Crush is going to stand up properly, like. Going to get his arm to balance on. There we go. And the singles didn't. So Smash and Axe, when they came out in singles release, they didn't have those accessories. They didn't have those hoods. Now, I quite often see people reselling Axe and Smash with the hoods on, but the Axe never came with one. So an Axe with a hood is incorrect. Okay, it's not sacrilege or anything like that, but there shouldn't be any Axes out there that are sold with a hood accessory, because no Axe figures came with it. It's Smash and Crush that come with the hoods, the helmets. I don't know what I think they're hood. I think they're executioner hoods are meant to be. I do vaguely remember them coming down like entrance gear, having they had like this whole sort of gimmick with the studs and the black leather. They had like overcoats and I suppose like leather jeans or something they would wear. It is, thinking about it now, man, it is a bit bondage, like, like, obviously it didn't click when I was a kid, but looking at it now, it's a bit kinky, the gear that the Demolition used to rock about in. I mean, not just the ring gear like this, but, you know, the gear that they would come down in, like, I think it was even chaps, it may be like leather cowboy chaps they wore, with these black masks as well. So it's a bit sort of sex dungeony. But anyway, so, yeah, so Smash, I'm delighted to have Smash because he's an upgrade on the Smash singles guy I have, without doubt. He looks absolutely pristine, he's mint. And Crush is, he's a cool figure, man. You don't see many of them out there. I know he's a clothesline guy, and like there's a lot of clothesliners in the line, but just everything about him is, I just like this figure. I think he's just a cool figure. It looks like Demolition Crush. Crush is obviously a guy who, so I think, is it Brian Adams, his name is? A guy who somehow, because he was never a headliner, he was never really, I suppose Evil Crush was close to the top of the card, but Crush has got 3 figures in the Hasbro line, and for someone who most of the time was a mid-card, a tag team guy, a mid-carder, if you look at other guys that had 3 figures, you're talking about $1 Million Man, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. There's not really many more than that. I mean, two was a decent return. Bossman had 2. Shawn Michaels, I suppose you could say, he had 3, because he had the Rockers and he had the 2 paint variants. Razor 2, Bret Hart 2, Undertaker 2. So, good high-profile guys of that era, the WWF. 2 figures was like the kind of standard return. But Crush has got 3. Crush has got Kona Crush, he's got Evil Crush, and he's got Demolition Crush. And again, that kind of provokes debate, because people say, because there's a story behind Smash. So Barry Darsow, who is Smash, if I can get Crush to stand back up again so I can pick up Smash, he does not want to stand. I don't know why that is. So Smash is the only guy, Barry Darsow is the only person who in the entire Hasbro line has 2 different gimmicks as a figure. So he's Smash, he's Demolition Smash, all those as you can see, but the same wrestler, the same person, then sort of rebranded after Demolition disbanded, he became the Repo Man. And Repo Man was released in the Hasbro figure line as well. So Barry Darsow has 2 figures under 2 different gimmicks in the Hasbro line, which is a completely unique thing. No one else has that. But the comeback, the answer to that is always Crush. Is always, well, Crush was Kona Crush, he was Evil Crush, and he was Demolition Crush. So the debate is Demolition Crush a different gimmick to Kona Crush or Evil Crush. I don't really think Kona Crush and Evil Crush are a different gimmick, because what happened there was Kona Crush turned heel and became Evil Crush. So it's not a different gimmick. He's not going away and come back as somebody else. But this Crush did go away and then come back as Kona Crush. So he went away as Demolition Crush with the face paint and everything on, and he came back as Kona Crush in the purple and yellow. So there is, I suppose, a small question mark over whether or not that is a rebranding, whether it is a completely different gimmick or not. And obviously I know Crush is Crush, it's the same name, but I think there is a discussion to have there. There is like an argument to make that with Crush being part of the Demolition and Crush being Kona Crush, they are different gimmicks. They kind of are. They kind of are different gimmicks. So I don't know. It's interesting that the only guy that's got, without doubt, has two clear different gimmicks, Smash and Repo. The only guy that comes close to that in the debate is Smash's tag team partner, Crush. So that's interesting. But anyway, I feel like I'm rambling now. So yeah, got the Crush figure added to, already had Smash obviously, but got the Crush figure added to the collection. So I do have Demolition tag team, but let's be honest, you need to have Axe as well, because they were a Freebirds tag team. They were a team that were 3 guys in the team, and any 3 could defend the 2 belts. Which is an awesome stipulation. I really like that. So I really need to have Axe before I can tick them off and say that the Demolition tag team has been completed. But for now, really happy with what I've got with these 2 guys as well. So that's it for this video. As you can see, I've got loads of tag team guys ticked off. Still a few big ones to get. Still need to get obviously the alternate Bushwhackers. And then there are the Smoking Guns, which, let's be honest, will probably never come. But yeah, getting very close. So getting pretty happy with the state of my tag team division in my Hasbro Fig Fed. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, please drop me a like, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell so you know when the new videos are coming out. Share the video through social media. Stay safe. We'll speak soon.